Devin Booker's 51-point performance from Wednesday's win over the Chicago Bulls is going to serve as a timestamp of sorts in his evolution as a initiator in pick and roll and out of dribble handoff scenarios. The Suns have been flowing him through a ton of these. He's been just racking up reps against multitude of coverages and looks, especially in the absence of Chris Paul through this first quarter of the season. And like I mentioned in the opening, Wednesday's win was just really is really going to end up serving as a timestamp for his evolution. So I want to break down a handful of his reps from that win. So let's dive into the film. All right, this first play here, we got a scenario we've been seeing with a lot more consistency. Again, especially with him playing and operating without Chris Paul on the floor. And that's teams giving him extra attention and pick and roll, specifically at the point of attack. So as we kind of let this one flow through, we'll see, boom, Nikola Vucevic is already at the level of the screen. There's no hinting at it. There's no chess being played. There's no disguising of the coverage. They're getting right into it. This is his first play initiating offense in this game. Vucevic is at the level of the screen, and Booker does a great job recognizing that. But not only, which is a point of emphasis for me this season, not only is it him understanding what coverage is being applied to him, but it's also his teammates. So the floor is well spaced, as you can see also with Mikal Bridges lifting from the strong corner to be a spray man if possible. Devin Booker elects to hit Cameron Payne on the spray, and then from the spray they hit the roll man, which is DeAndre Ayton. Ayton does a great job with his role, as you can see, not diving directly to the basket, but making himself available as an option from the spray man to where there's a timing mechanism with everything they're doing, playing out of the 2-on scenario. And they do a great job with that. Campaign hits it with a timely pass on target as well. And they do a good job executing against that defense in that specific play. All right, this next one we're going to flow into, as we kind of let it run through some, is going to be Devin Booker working off the ball. So first of all, as you can see, they're trying to get into their wide action here, which is basically just a wide away screen where Devin Booker's going to come off and then he's going to springboard him downhill. It's going to be like a pick and roll adjacent type play because after the screen, DeAndre Ayton will roll to the basket. But Patrick Williams does a great job locking in on Devin Booker. And one thing Devin Booker does great is his setup going in the screens, but he also never fights pressure because if you don't fight the pressure, it's going to open up another opportunity. So the Suns have a counter built into their wide action to where if he's getting locked on early or if he's being top locked, he just simply slips under the screen and it's just going to end up being like a loop cut. He's going to flow around, campaigns up pitching it to DeAndre Ayton, and it's going to flow into a middle Chicago action, which is a down screen into a dribble handoff. So they flow into that. And then here's again another part in the process for Devin Booker. So they flow into the Chicago part of this action is the counter to the pressure being applied to him. Gets the handoff, and now he's already seeing two. So he's automatically looking at the roller because the roller is putting pressure on the rim. That's going to automatically generate a rotation from the defense. And from there, he figures out where's the low man. The low man is DeMar DeRozan here. DeRozan's tagging or jabbing at DeAndre Ayton to take away that easy pass to the basket. So Devin Booker does a great job as the Bulls try to flatten the offense out of stretching the defense as a counter. Great job making this cross-court pass. It's a tough pass to make. A lot of guards can't make this going to their strong hand or not. Devin Booker is one of the few players that can do this and does it with a timely and accurate pass to try to sustain the advantage that's created. The Suns don't lose their flow as then it goes over to DeAndre Ayton in the post, and he's able to work in the late clock in isolation. Ayton's been activated of late, and he executes. All right, this next play here is taking place in transition. So this is something Devin Booker's been very good at, and it's one of my favorite things from him, is how great he is at rejecting screens. So obviously he's great at using screens, but if you peep in transition here, there's an easy opportunity for him to put pressure on the rim and generate an advantage right away as the Suns empty the entire side of the floor on that left side. As you can see, there's no one over there but Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, who's going to be setting screens. So as we let it kind of flow through, boom, Devin Booker sees Patrick Williams leaning to kind of try to cheat and get over the screen. So he does a great job of rejecting after setting him up appropriately. That's going to instantly put pressure on Nikola Vucevic, who's in a drop this time in transition. He's trying to protect the rim. So Devin Booker, again, with his processing speed and everything, slows things down as he gets into the mid-range, holds that advantage as he attracts two, even gives a good pump fake, and waits for DeAndre Ayton to get in position on his roll and hits him with excellent bounce pass, a wraparound pass here for the N1. Just a great play in transition. Again, his real-time recognition and processing speed of what's going on and executes upon the advantage. All right, this next play here, we're going to see they're going to flow into some of their snug elbow action. So we get the elbow cross screen, we get the pitch into Aiden, and now this is the snug part of it. So a lot of times they run their Chicago action and dribble handoff scenario type plays from wider than the three-point line for spacing purposes. But here, as you can see, they're electing to go with that same action, but it's snug. It's all within the three-point line. It's reducing the spacing, it's forcing quicker reactions and quicker decision-making and applying more pressure onto the Bulls to see if they're going to switch, when they're going to switch, and if they're going to be in some other type of coverage to try to negate the advantage that the Suns are trying to create. Can they execute it quickly enough to where an advantage won't be created from the offensive end? So as we flow into the Chicago part of it, you see the down screen and then the dribble handoff. Devin Booker does a great job again with his patience, allowing things to develop. Makes a quick read. He sees where Vucevic is. Vucevic stops in the middle of the paint to stop his advantage as he gets the ball coming off the dribble handoff and then the screen. Aiden does a great job looping around the low man to get into position for the oop. And it all just happens so quick that there's no time for the Bulls. If your reaction points aren't on time within this scenario, they're always going to generate an advantage. And the advantage is also held, and the oop is opened up for Aiden because Torrey Craig, after he sets the screen, he then lifts outside the three-point line. You see as he lifts outside the three-point line after the down screen he sets for Devin Booker, you can see right here where the weight is shifted for DeMar DeRozan, who's the low man here. He's looking, and he's like, oh, if I go too far out, then that's going to open up the lob. But by the time he makes that reaction to it, it's too late. Just great job from all existing parties within this three-man action here from the Suns. Again, doing it from a snug position inside the three-point line and executing. Beautiful play. All right, this next one here, again, as you can see, is going to take place in transition. And it's going to be an early drag, and it's in the empty side. So as we see, we're going to let it flow through some. Vucevic is going to be at the level of the screen again. And this is just a very timely pocket pass from Devin Booker. He kind of reads where Vucevic is, they empty the side, so that Aiden has enough space to roll before a tagger or anything of that nature is able to get over. You see Kobe White is extremely late on his reaction as the low man. Aiden's able to get up off of two and put down a thunderous dunk. And as we got into the latter end of the first half, the Suns really started doing a great job of getting into their typical actions, but doing so and getting into their built-in counters. So typically they go into their elbow action, which is a cross screen set by the big for a small, and then that flows into an assortment of actions and activity. This time around, it's going to be Aiden receiving the screen this time. So as we see here, as it flows through, Aiden receives the elbow cross screen, and then they flow into an empty corner dribble handoff for Devin Booker. The Suns were purposefully trying to involve Nikola Vucevic in actions, but also even more so than that, just trying to flow into a different type of scenarios to where they're getting into their two-man action between Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. So they get into the dribble handoff scenario here. Alex Caruso, not unlike Mikal Bridges, is one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. He does a great job whenever he's directly involved in any actions, either mucking up the pace, dislodging the ball, or doing both, as he does here. But Devin Booker does a great job staying composed, keeping a tight handle after he regains it, and then navigating all types of hand help here. Look at the hand help as the floor shrunk from the Bulls defensively. Look at the hand help from Zach LaVine as well as from Nikola Vucevic. All of this hand activity is navigating with his handle while keeping Alex Caruso in the rear view. Initially, he's on his backside. As he gets to his pickup point, Caruso kind of floats over to his hip. But Devin Booker just stays composed, stays patient, waits for the roll to get in there to then create a little more separation as Vucevic steps back. And then as he steps back, he gives a subtle jab to keep Caruso at bay. As you can see the jab there. Regains his balance with his footwork and then knocks down this little fadeaway here. Just a great job getting into the action, maintaining advantages, and then executing in the end from Devin Booker as well as from DeAndre Ayton. So they flow into another dribble handoff here. It's going to be Aiden receiving the cross screen again and then flowing into it. Again, everything looks the same until it isn't, though. Just like a wide receiver going against a defensive back, Devin Booker does a great job with the setup here, making everything look the same, gets the jump at, gets Patrick Williams to react, and then, again, like a receiver against press coverage, uses his hands to create separation, get leverage, and DeAndre Ayton does a great job recognizing everything that's going on with the pressure and then not fighting the pressure from Devin Booker. Hits him with a timely bounce pass on the back door, and then the job's not done yet as Devin Booker on the catch does a great job with his sudden athleticism and recognition, countering the great help from DeMar DeRozan on the low help and getting to his left hand and finishing this on the other side of the basket. Just a great play all around from Aiden as well as Devin Booker with the pass, and then Devin Booker on the setup, and then also on the finish. It's a great play all around from those two. And then here again, everything looks the same until it isn't. Aiden flows over, gets the cross screen, but then they bring the third player in making this dribble handoff a three-player action here, bringing Mikal Bridges back in. They're going with the snug Chicago action again. However, DeAndre Ayton, instead of getting into the roll after the dribble handoff, sticks in there to set a screen. It ends up becoming like a double screen for Devin Booker. He gets to this mid-range pull-up here, and that's a layup. Again, keeping on with the theme of everything looking the same until it isn't. They go with the elbow cross screen again. This time it's flipped. It looks like it's going to be the elbow into a dribble handoff situation again. No. Now they're going to flow into a Spain pick and roll, and it really catches the Bulls defense off guard. DeAndre Ayton comes off after he sets the on-ball pick, but look at the screen in the middle of the floor set by Devin Booker. If Cameron Payne is a little bit more patient, because the screen is nailed by Booker, the alley-oop is most certainly there before the switch is recognized by Patrick Williams. Instead, Payne going with his weak hand isn't necessarily comfortable making that pass, so he opts to go to the veer back action. And the result from Devin Booker setting a great screen is an opportunity to go one-on-one in isolation with the mismatch. And he does what he does. Boogie in the freedom and executes. All right, and as we flow into these last two, it's going to be a lot of off-ball activity, specifically on this first one, specifically off-hand activity from Devin Booker. As you see, he comes off the screen, and then we're going to break it down a little bit more. All right, so as we run it back, you can see everything's done with the left hand here from Devin Booker. Great patience. Again, Vucevic is at the level of the screen, so Devin Booker doesn't panic, does a great job of just being patient, wait for him to get into his retreat as he gets back to the roller, as Aiden gets into the roll part after the screen is set. And then look at how Devin Booker patiently navigates. Again, with the offhand, navigating the handheld from Ayo Dosunmu here with the separation dribble. It's very subtle, but just look at what it gets him to. Gets him to a great pickup point halfway through the paint, and then Devin Booker is able to get into a great half hook off the glass with soft touch over a footer that's contesting him. This is an unbelievable shot. This is a shot that probably 5 guards in the NBA can make happen. And he's most certainly at the top of that list of 1 of 5 guards that can hit this shot with his offhand. This is unbelievable skill here on display from Devin Booker. And then we flow into this last rep here. It's going to be something that's a little more basic than the other plays that we've seen, but it's just something that they consistently have been nailing of late. And that's in the pick and roll. Devin Booker going with his offhand again, noticing the coverage early, as well as Aiden noticing the coverage early and adjusting his role based off of that. He settles in the middle of the floor. Devin Booker gets off of it quick, while the advantage is at his highest level of effect. On the catch, because he hits him so early, Aiden has a plethora of options. He can either catch this, he can kick it to the corner here where you see Torrey Craig at the bottom of the screen, where DeMar DeRozan's loaded up on the block, or he can catch that and then he can skip it to the other side and skip it over to Mikal Bridges, who's lifting up from the corner while Zach LaVine's pinching in at the block. Instead, on the catch, because Aiden's been activated and Devin Booker hits him in a timely fashion with his momentum rolling forward, decides to get to the basket for an athletic finish.